We're going to be going over the Accelerated View monitoring platform. The Accelerated View has a nickname also known as AView, so I will be referencing to the Accelerated View platform as AView in this video just for shortness and so I don't have to repeat myself all the time. This is just the overview page of the Accelerated View on our Accelerated Concepts company website. I'm going to go ahead and go to the AView site and we'll go ahead and show the login page. Okay, so logging in is based on email and password credentials. If you for some reason have lost your password, you can click this lost password link and type in the email address that you used to log into the AView system. If you have forgotten the email that you used to log in, I would suggest contacting someone with Accelerated Concepts or whoever helped set you up with Accelerated View. And once you type in that email address and send reset instructions, the Accelerated View will actually email that email address with the password reset instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and log into the system here. So once you log into the system, the first page you're brought to is this dashboard page. And the dashboard page is meant to show all the devices that you can view that are in an alert status, so devices that are down. So that's why they show up as red icons on this map. And if I click one of these icons, it'll actually show some additional details for that device, such as the site ID, the device ID or MAC address of the device, as well as the organization that it's associated with. The buttons at the top detail all the different devices that the user can access and then what state they are in. So they kind of give you a count of all the different devices in certain states. The total devices that I can access are listed here in this first column of 19 devices. And of those devices, there's a certain number that are up. So up details a device that is checking into AView and can be monitored by AView. Down devices indicate devices that have not checked into AView recently and have either gone offline or somehow are not being able to be monitored by AView. Unreachable devices indicate devices that have not responded recently but have yet not gone to a down state. This applies to VPN gateway devices that get probed every so often. Deployed devices and undeployed devices are kind of a unique state. Deployed devices indicate a device that should be monitored by AView. Undeployed devices means that the device will not be monitored by AView. The device will still check into AView. You could still view the device, and it will still function as the same as a deployed device. The only difference being that if a device goes down or if some kind of alert would be generated for the device, if it's undeployed, that alert will not actually be sent out. So it won't actually generate an alert for the device if it changes state or something happens to it. And undeployed is used to mark devices that are either being staged or devices that are in transit or devices that have known to have an issue so we don't need to receive alerts on them. If you scroll down past the map page, it'll actually give you a list of the devices that are in a down state. So that corresponds with the devices that are listed on the map. So if I kind of zoom out here, you can actually see there are probably other down devices in other regions. And also, if you didn't want to click and drag, you can easily pick a certain region of the globe here, and it kind of gives you a quick view of that without having to click and drag on the map. And anytime you see an index like this with rows and columns, you can actually export this index to a CSV file for any sort of reporting you need to provide to users or customers. This map page can also be filtered, so I'm going to go ahead and reset it. The organizations I have access to, if I pick this drop down, I'll be able to see them here. So you can see there's a couple different organizations that my user has access to. If I click just one of them, it'll filter this view based on just showing the down devices that are in this particular organization or an organization underneath it. You can also filter by categories of devices. So say I only want cellular and gateway devices, and then you can even filter further by specifying the particular model of device that you're looking for. So let's go ahead and leave a couple of them checked and hit filter. And you can see that the ones that were listed on the map are now gone, since they're not associated with this organization. So the header toolbar up here. The header toolbar is present on all pages of the AView site. So if you went to any page, this top bar up here with the search, support, account, and logout buttons will always be here, similar to how the navigation bar that's on the left will always be there. So the support button will actually give you a link to a support email address for Accelerated View that you can use to contact support if you have a question about the system. The account button contains all the details for your specific user that you log in with. You can specify time zone. Changes in time zone causes any event that is displayed here to be reflected in your time zone that you selected. So for example, if events flow in, even if that device is in a different time zone, the events will appear to you in your time zone as designated here, simply just for convenience. That way you can understand what time events happens without having to convert time zones. The buttons for notifications enabled and maps enabled. If, for example, on that dashboard page or on this maps page, you just did not want any maps displayed at all, you can actually disable that here. Notifications, if you set up notifications for your user to receive alerts on particular devices or organizations, you can actually disable those temporarily. So if you're going on vacation or if you were doing something where you did not want to have any notifications for a time being, you can disable those and enable those on demand. If you need to change your password, you can do that here as well. The notification subscriptions and profiles lists subscriptions for the devices you currently want to receive alerts on or organizations you want to receive alerts on. Since this is my demo user, I have not set up any subscriptions yet. We will get to that later. The notification profiles are where you create certain profiles of notifications that you would like to apply to devices or organizations. We'll actually get to notification setup later. So just a note that any profile you create here can be applied to multiple devices. And the information page is an email address. This is the email you use to sign into the system. And it is also the email that will be used to send out any alerts from the AView system to your email. So this email address will receive any alerts that you have subscribed to here in the AView system. The maps page is similar to the dashboard page. The only difference is that it shows all the devices in different states, whereas the dashboard page was meant to just display down devices or devices that are in an alert state. So you can see, noted by the different colors of icons on the map, that it shows all the devices that are available that I can view, and the status of them are listed noted by these color icons. So if I click on one of them, you can also get a view of the device, what organization is in, what device ID it's in the site. Similar to the filter on the dashboard, you can also filter this view on sub-organizations. So if I want to filter on the same sub-organization as I did before, you can specify specific categories and models within those categories. And then the deployment, just go ahead and pick deployed devices. And then you can also select the particular status of the device. So if you're only concerned with devices that are up, you can do that by selecting this. Once you have all your filters selected, you click filter. And you can see that the map was filtered just to show the devices that I was interested in. And again, I can click on it and find additional details about the device. And then once I'm done looking at the devices, if I want to change the filter, I can do that on the fly. Or if I just want to reset the filter, I can hit the reset button here. Next section is the devices section, and it lists, whenever you click the all, it will list all the devices that the user has access to. And you can see that I have a good amount of devices here, about 19. The show 50, this is used to denote how many results you want to show per page. If you want to decrease loading time for the page, you can actually say show just 10 per page. And once you select that, it'll just list those 10 devices per page and then paginate the rest of the devices. once you make your selection of how many results you'd like to show per page, it'll keep that cache as your user preference. So that way, if you go to the gateway page or some other page of the site, it remembers how many results you'd like to show per page. When viewing the all page will actually show all the devices of all the different categories and types. So you can see the different categories and models here listed. Similar to the maps and dashboard page, any page that lists devices or events or any sort of results can always be filtered. You can filter by organization, the category and model, and deployment of the device. The results in the index here, the device ID is the MAC address of the device. If you click on the actual MAC address of the device, it will give you additional details on the device, including its location. You can also view some details about the device, as well as specific details for this device category. For gateway devices or VPN gateway devices, you can view their status by clicking gateway category. If I click on a particular device, you can see details about a particular gateway unit. The details section gives you some general overview about the current status of the device. So the status for right now is that the device is up, but its main tunnel is down. So this could be useful for troubleshooting purposes to find out what AVU's status of the device is. So if a user calls in with issues, you can use this to help determine what the problem is. It also lists the IP addresses of the primary connection as well as the management IP. And the management IP is a special tunnel that is used from AVU to the device in order to establish a monitoring connection for the device. Below it are details for the specific tunnels that the VPN gateway device has, and these are all configured through AT&T Service Manager. These just list the details of the current connection and the connection statistics. For remote capabilities on the VPN gateway, we have this commands drop-down, and you can do several things such as checking the device status, telling the VPN gateway to pull its configuration from AT&T Service Manager immediately, or you can also reboot the device remotely. So for now, let's check the device's status. And you can see that whenever you click that remote command, it takes you to the events page of the device, so you can see the result of the probe attempt, and you can see that we did successfully probe the device. And if you click on one of these information details for an event, it'll give you additional full details for that event, so you can see the details and notes that were included in that probe response. I'm going to show some cellular devices, so I'll pull up a sample device here. And you can see it'll give you a similar view to what the VPN gateway device showed, except you're going to see details that are specific to the cellular category devices. If you scroll down, things like the modem details and signal strength are all listed here. Cellular devices can be configured in the AVU system, and the current configuration of the device can be selected in this configuration drop-down. So you can select a new configuration for the device here. Say we want to apply the default configuration that is within the organization. So the configurations are actually set up as templates within an organization, similar to like a model, and you can set up several templates that inherit from each other. But for now, let's go ahead and just set the default configuration to this device. So once you select the configuration, you hit update here, and you can see that the configuration is now updated, and you can view the configuration for this device by clicking this link. For cellular configurations, you can see them listed here. They are broken up into sections. So you have these sections of configurations, and each of these entries or options for a configuration, you can see additional details and kind of an explanation of the option by hovering over this help icon. And you can do that for each of the options here. And they'll provide you some additional details as far as what format they may need to be in, or any associated configuration options that go along with them. If you wanted to create a new configuration profile, you can do so here by clicking this Add Configuration button. You can give it a unique name. We'll go ahead and assign it to our suborganization that we've been demoing with. And the parent configuration is the model or template that it would inherit from. So I can specify that here by picking the suborganization and then picking the default template for that suborganization. And once I select it, you can see these inherited values get filled in. You can override these inherited values by deselecting the checkbox and then typing in a new value here. And then once you hit create, it'll save the new configuration, and you can see that the value that we want to use instead of the inherited value is filled in here. Now if I wanted to apply this configuration to the device, the cellular device we were looking at before, I can pick this cellular device, and you can see that the new test config template is listed here. So if I select that and hit update, that's the new configuration applied to the device. Also on cellular devices, we have the option for sending remote commands as well. And you can see the remote commands for the devices listed here. There are several devices that can be sent, and there are also emergency SMS commands that can be sent to a device even when it's not able to fully connect or not able to get a network connection. These SMS commands can be read by the device even offline, which is useful for kind of an emergency situation where the device isn't responding normally. There are other categories of devices here on the left side. Additional details for these can be found in the documentation for the AView site. They're similar as far as the capabilities of what AView can do with these devices, such as configuration and sending remote commands. So the next section we're going to go over is the report section. In the report section, you have options for generating specific types of reports. For example, the first one we can do is an availability report. And this report will list devices as far as their up and down status for a certain amount of time. This report is useful for finding the uptime for a group of devices. So let's go ahead and generate an availability report for our demo organization here. You can specify the types of devices you want to include in the report. So I'm just going to go ahead and include only gateway and cellular devices. And you can also specify the types of models that you would like to include in the report. So let's go ahead and specify those. Let's go ahead and select deployed devices, since those are the ones we are normally concerned with since they're being monitored by AView. You can order the results by the MAC address or last activity. Let's leave it as the last activity so you can see which devices have checked in recently. And let's go ahead and run the report for the last week. So you can see once the report is done, it'll generate a graph and result here. And you can hover over these graphs to get some additional details for different points in time for the report. And if you scroll down, you can see an index view of all the devices that are in the organization, as well as specific details on the up and down time for those devices. So you can see that some devices were up 100% of the time, some devices were up not a lot of the time. You can also export this report as a CSV by clicking the download CSV button. And you can also view this report by clicking on the history button. And you can see the report that was generated here by just clicking on this again. And you notice that it's the same report, and you can again export to a CSV. Keep in mind that when generating reports, only the most recent 5 reports will be saved in your history. So if you generate another report that would put you above 5, then it'll actually delete the oldest report if you choose to generate the new report. The events page is similar to the individual device events page that we showed with a VPN gateway device earlier. This page will show all the events coming in a real-time status for all the devices that I have access to, and you can see it being automatically updated here. And again, we can filter on the organization, the category of the devices we want to show, as well as models, the types of events, and you can see that in the index there are certain types of events that are listed. You can see most of them are status messages, but there also are other types. So let's say we are concerned about reboot events, and levels will also give you certain levels of events to detail the priority of the event. And you can also filter on the range of events you'd like to see. By default, it shows the last month. You can also filter that down to decrease the page load time. So let's leave it at a month. Once I hit filter, you can see that the events are just shown for the suborganization I selected and the reboot types of events. So you can see that this device had a couple of reboots for different reasons, and you can click on any one of these events to gain additional details about. The next section is notifications. So this page will list any notifications that would be sent via email from AView to you. And this is a way that you can go back and look at old notifications that may have been sent instead of having to dig through an email to find them. Let's go ahead and subscribe to a device and organization so we can show how subscriptions work and profiles for notifications are set up. So let's go ahead and subscribe to a gateway device. So I'm going to select one of my devices here. And once I'm on the device details page for this particular device, there's a subscribe button here at the top of the page. If I click this button, it'll give me a prompt to say select a particular notification profile. Right now I only have the default notification, which I can specify and subscribe to using that default profile. But let's go ahead and create a new one. So we're going to call this test profile. And you can see that notifications for each device type can be specified here. So you can apply this profile to several different devices or a whole entire organization that has multiple types of devices in it. So let's go ahead and set up some notifications for gateway and cellular devices. So I want to know some of these immediately. And then if you subscribe to it immediately, that means that if the event that causes the device to go down, or if a device is recovered because of an event coming in, it will send that alert immediately to me. And then you can also specify to receive alerts every so often. So if I select every hour for a couple of these, that means that if an event occurs, such as the device rebooting or the backup WAN auto test failing for the VPN gateway device, I'll receive an email within the hour of that event happening on the hour. If you subscribe to multiple devices here, you will receive a bulk list of any device rebooted or backup when auto test failed alerts within the hour because of these notifications. And let's go ahead and subscribe to some cellular notifications with some, and we'll give it some similar notification options. So once I've done selecting all the notifications that I would like to receive, I'll go ahead and click create. And you can see that once I created that new profile, since I clicked subscribe as part of that process, automatically subscribed me to this particular device. If I wanted to unsubscribe, I can do that by clicking the unsubscribe button here. So say with this profile, I actually wanted to apply it to an entire organization as well, so I can receive alerts for any gateway or cellular devices in that organization. I can do that by selecting the organization here, which actually gives me a list of the devices in that particular organization. And then I can click the subscribe button, similar to how it was listed on the device details page. And then I can select the profile that I had set up before and click subscribe. And you can see that it's successfully done. Now if I go to my accounts page, in the notification subscriptions tab, you'll see that I have subscribed to that particular device and organization listed here, and the profile that I have subscribed it to. Now if I need to change this profile, I can do so, and then it'll affect any alerts that would be sent out going forward. So if I decide that I did not want to receive device up alerts immediately, I can receive them once every hour. I can do that, and it'll apply to any alerts for device recovered for VPN gateway devices going forward. This is the organization section of AView. So this lists the organizations that my user has access to, and I'll list them as organizations and sub-organizations if the organization is set up underneath another one. And you can see that there are particular actions that we can do with the organization here, such as creating a new organization. So for creating new organizations, you can either select the new organization button up here, or if there's a particular organization that you want to be underneath, you can do so by selecting the new sub-organization button here, and you can give it a unique name. These are permissions that we use to apply to users that we are going to add for this new organization. So if I'm creating a user and I assign it to this new organization called test sub-organization, we can give them certain abilities by default by checking certain ones of these, or we can go ahead and check all of them. And these can be changed later on. So if I go back to the organizations page, you can see that the new sub-organization is created. Now, if I need to change the permissions or abilities of that organization, I can do so by selecting this roles icon here. And the roles list all the different permissions that users within this organization can have. So if I need to change that and then remove one of these abilities, I can do that here and update it. In the role section, you can see that there's currently only one role that the users in this organization can be applied to. And right now it's the admin role. So say we need to have another role for view-only users, we can do that by creating a new role here and specifying it as view-only. And we can specify specific permissions for this view only user. Since they're view only, we don't want them modifying anything, and then we don't really want them replacing devices, but we do want them to be able to view things. So let's get them the ability to view these configuration options and admin panels. You can see the help boxes here provide additional details for the permission type. So once I'm done selecting the appropriate permissions, I can click create, and you can see that the new role is available. So if I need to create a new user, I could do so here. Give them a test name. Specify a new password for them, and the user can change this whenever they log in by using the lost password option. Specify a time zone for them, and then in the permissions, I can specify either that admin or view only permission. So let's go ahead and give them the view only one and click create. So you can see the new user was created, and if I look at its permissions, it'll give me the view only permission for this one user. So if I log in as this user, I won't be able to modify devices, but I would be able to view anything in the site. If you need to delete the user, you could do so by clicking this delete user button. The user sections will also list any users that are associated with the organizations you have access to. So you can see the test demo user that I created earlier, as well as other users that are associated with this organization. And you can click on any user to provide additional details about them, view their permissions that they have to different organizations. So you can see that this user only has access to this test sub-organization. And then back on the users page, you can delete users by clicking the X icon here. And also new users can be created by clicking on the add user button up here. Another option we can do for user access is we can provide access to users for other organizations that they wouldn't normally be able to access. So for example, this test user only has access to this test sub-organization right now. And if I go to look at the organizations I have access to, you can see there are 4 listed here. And this test sub-organization is listed at the bottom of this list of sub-organizations. Let's say we want to give this test sub-organization and that user within it access to USARMT. We can do that by clicking the permissions for the test sub-organization and then add a new permission for the USARMT organization. Let me go ahead and click create. You can see that the USARMT permission is now available as part of this test sub organization. So if I go back to the users page and then select that test user and its permissions, I can then select the new permission to add the ability for the user to access USARMT. So you can see that the test user now has access to both of these organizations, one as a view-only user and the other as an admin for this particular organization. The admin panel section can be found by clicking the admin icon at the top right of the header toolbar, and is used for importing devices into Accelerated View and also adding new configuration schemas for Remote Manager and Data IP devices. To add new devices into Accelerated View, you can click this new import icon, and you would want to upload a file so that way you can specify a list of devices. And once you select upload, you can actually download a template CSV file. And in that template CSV file, you can see the fields that the importer is looking for, such as the MAC address of the device's serial, the configuration name if you want to specify a configuration template to apply to the device while importing, as well as other details for the device. Once you have all the device details filled in, you'll need to also specify the type as accelerated, and you choose the file that you've saved onto your system that has the import details, and then you click the import button, and that'll give you results here on the admin panel once the process is complete. And you can click on the ID of the import to gain further details about which devices were imported, and if any were devices were imported, and the status of it, and the name of the file that was uploaded. This concludes the demo of the Accelerated View monitoring platform. If you'd like to delve further into Accelerated View, you can view the user's guide for Accelerated View by clicking on this link here. If you'd like to contact Accelerated Concepts, you can contact our support line by either emailing us or by contacting us via phone number. Either methods are listed under the support section here on the contact page, or you can send us an email directly from the Accelerated Concepts website. Thank you.